Yeah, a movie where you don't stop moving, I don't think has been done before. So that aspect of it has just made this process really exciting, but really difficult. The mechanics of it, and then also just the actual walking. Because we've walked over like 300 miles.
This movie is like wholly unique in the way that it's made. I've never made a movie like this before, and none of the crew have either. It's the first time. All of the rigs that they built to shoot these scenes were custom made because they didn't exist before. We were sort of inventing how do we do a movie where about 50 people walking the whole time. The Long Walk is a very physical kind of movie, but if you really look at what it is, it's kind of like a play. There's time to develop the humanity of each character and the humanity of the interactions between the characters.
The Long Walk essentially is a competition, and there has to be one winner, and if you slow down beyond a certain speed, you get 3 warnings, and after the 3rd one, you get your ticket, which is basically death.
You have to go at 3 miles per hour, you can't ever stop, you can't walk backwards, you can't lay down, you get 3 warnings, and after the 3rd warning, you get killed.
And it really is a contest about endurance, but they're all very desperate because of the world they live in. You know, that there's a financial prize they're all really hoping for and they all really need. And it's a thing that is televised and it's meant to inspire. And somehow, even as violent as it is, it's meant to sort of inspire hope and to show that hard work and endurance will bring prosperity.
And I think, you know, beyond the rules of the game, there's like a deeper meaning as to what it is. Part of it is entertainment, and part of it is what the human condition can do. And I think that that's what this film balances so well.
I think that we walked 9 miles the first day, 9 or 10 miles in like 100-degree heat the first day we were there. And I will say, yes, all the boys that you see on screen are walking. The boys who have lines are walking, yes. Guess who else is walking? All the background actors who are there, who are showing up every day, putting in the steps. We all have blisters, they all have blisters. Our feet hurt, our backs hurt, everything hurts. We're sunburned, we're sweaty, we're tired, and everybody's putting in the work, as well as our sound team, our AD team, our hair and makeup team. Every time Francis calls cut, he walks back with us.
Most of our characters were coming from, extreme poverty, and that was, a lot of the reasoning that they were even in this position to begin with, and that's, specific to some characters. You are witnessing guys who are kind of on the fringes to a degree, and I think, Francis really grounding that in realism, made for something that feels really kind of chilling and unnerving.
So I first came across this book around 2006, and I was working on I Am Legend, and I was working with Akiva Goldsman on that project, and he asked if I had read The Long Walk, and I had not. So he gave me a copy of the book. I read it, instantly fell in love with it. It became my favorite Stephen King book. And I was kind of raised watching movies based on Stephen King novels, and so really always watched and loved those adaptations. I always gravitated toward the ones that were less supernatural and more grounded. The stories like The Long Walk that have a very grounded, authentic feeling to them, or Misery is another one of my favorite books of his.
If you ask me what my favorite bit about the film is that it's the details, these moments that we found as actors with each other as a whole group that are magical, like truly magical, truly deep and truly profound, which is definitely in Stephen King's novel, but I think we've definitely put some amazing moments on screen and given ourselves to it. So hopefully people like it.
Working with everyone, David, Coop, Charlie, Ben, Garrett, and I went into it with a mentality that I'm here, I'm going to be present, and I want to learn. I want to learn, because I feel like acting's a journey.
One of the interesting aspects about the story itself, Stephen King's story, is he was writing a novel that was sort of a reaction to the Vietnam War. So I kind of ran with that a little bit, and I didn't want to explain too much about what the world is and how the government works and too many details, because it's truly a story that's about these young men, and it's about their relationships and their emotional dynamics. And that's really the heart of it.
Reading about experiences where groups of people have to endure something together in which survival is not guaranteed, you realize that it's inevitable that bonds will develop unless there's rules or there's external factors that prevent people from getting together. Humans are social creatures. I think even if the rules say you should be against each other, you're going to make friends. You're going to try to make allies. You're going to try to do anything, I think, to get your mind off of just walking for the rest of your life.
Francis also, I had really expressed to him early that for me, Dennis Hopper's character in Apocalypse Now had been a big reference for me, just as far as the energy of who Barkovich, I think, is to a degree. I think he was excited about that, so he had this idea to give me this camera that, throughout the film, I'm able to kind of have as somewhat of like a security blanket, but it ended up being like a really powerful tool for me to kind of understand how Barkovich is.
These are really well-written characters, well-written by Stephen King and then well-adapted by JT. And so that truth, that humor, it's all there. That's what pulls you into the real movie.
It balances on Pete McGree's and Ray Garrity, and I think that relationship was everything to me. And the actor playing opposite me, I wouldn't be able to do my job if they weren't doing theirs. The Musketeers has just been a joy to find these boys, these lads, like finding the joy in this like slightly macabre, dark world.
Francis wanted 8 distinct looks of them, and they had to seamlessly segue into each other. One of the last people that we actually tested was Cooper. What's great about him and his professionalism is that we need to externally show the absolute horror that these kids are going through. So he was, willing to do what it took.
I'm someone who doesn't love to be in a hair and makeup chair, but on this, I told Doug this the first time we started, I was like, I'm gonna give over to you. I'm giving over to you. It's very much helpful to get into the character of sitting in the chair and having your eyes closed and having them put on all the prosthetics and all the things and bloody your feet, and then when you open your eyes, you're a completely different person, and it's really helpful. So it looks great on screen. That's all been awesome, but I applaud Doug for giving that to me as well.
Just the great challenge of making these young guys look like they're going through hell was an enormous challenge that I really wanted to take on.
I knew very quickly that as we were preparing for prep, that this movie was going to have to be made very differently than anything we've made before. We shot this movie chronologically. This movie somehow lent itself toward this approach because they keep moving. Our cameras are on cranes that are driven by electric vehicles. So there's a choreography of making sure the guys driving the vehicles, who are on this movie just as important as the camera operators, they're driving those vehicles, watching that speedometer because they're partly gauging, that we're going the correct speed. And then you'd have multiple vans with the hair, the makeup, the wardrobe people, all of that. So there was this caravan that would move during the shooting for every single take. We also tried to keep everything electric to try and keep the noise level down. It was a very, very specifically curated way of making a movie because it was very specific.
Francis is fantastic. He knows what he wants. He knows how to get it. He knows how to communicate what he wants in a way that we get it as quickly as possible so we can go home and sleep and, bathe our feet.
He, from the jump, has created a very openly creative and collaborative set and experience in which when we got our costumes, we picked out our costumes. When we got our props,
you don't really get that too much as an actor, to get your own props, like, this is what my character would have. And this is what my character would wear, and this is how he would wear it. Really, really awesome that I chose that for that character. I was able to mold him.
Before each actor would arrive for their fitting, I'd compile a rack of clothing so that they could have a choice of you know, to play around and discover their character in a sense. And all of their prop belting and their straps that hold their canteen and their food packs I thought was amazing, because we could play around with those in the fitting, and we could take their outfit and try so many different ways to wear it.
Francis knows how unpredictable this set can be and how unpredictable this movie can be because of all the things we just talked about, of the camera cars and the rain and the using natural light and all these things, and also just like the physicality. And he listens to us and we listen to him, and it's an extremely healthy collaborative experience in which he's created.
Mark Hamill is a legend. There's definitely something amazing about having someone like him on set. Taking part in this deeply strange story definitely lifts it. I'll be lying if I said it doesn't lift it beyond what myself, Cooper and the other boys make. Mark definitely brings like this amazing groundedness to this film, and yeah, it's been great having him on set.
I started thinking to him in the sort of newer Star Wars movies and the kind of weariness that he had as like an aging Luke Skywalker that I really liked for the Major. And he read the script, and I think it sort of scared him a bit. And he told me, it was interesting, that he moved around and from, you know, around military bases when he was a kid, and he's really deep down kind of knew guys like this. And so Mark was really easily able to kind of, you know, conjure this character up from, you know, his memories from his youth.
The way I like to think about it is it's a world where the Great Depression never ended. I know in the books, you know, there's allusions to losing the big war. The movie doesn't really touch on, you know, there's really not any time to, you know, we want to focus on, you know, the walk, but it's a very, very specific vibe, the design of the costumes and the set.
The nice thing about having this world be a bit ambiguous is that it also just allows for you to buy in. You don't question it, and it looks beautiful. And it has a grit to it and an honesty to it. I mean, it's doing half the acting, it feels like, you know what I'm saying?
When Francis spoke to me about this whole project before I was even on board, it felt like this passion project of his. It's like, you know, Francis makes the Hunger Games, man. He makes like, you know, these like large films. This isn't one of those. I think it's a tiny film about bonding and brotherhood and like a deeper meaning of what America was.
I feel like you can't do something like this and not develop heavy bonds with everyone involved. Yeah, I mean, at one point we were out in like, you know, near the Saskatchewan border, staying in like these like log huts. It was just us. You know, it felt like a weird summer camp where Mark Hamill was also there. It was, I mean, it was, in a way, it was awesome.
The long walk, the Walkers team, softball team, won the tournament of all the other movies in town. They all had softball teams, and there was a softball tournament, and we were undefeated. So, way to go.
There is an extreme darkness to the movie, and what I wanted was to sort of play against that a little bit, and I wanted something that was a little more lyrical and a little more beautiful and definitely emotional. I didn't want to lean into the darkness. I actually kind of wanted to lean into the other colors in the movie and more of the emotion that's at the heart of it and the camaraderie at the heart of it.
This for me was so fun because it was that perfect balance of trying to find sound design, but also in my own way writing pieces of music that felt like songs. And I think for me at times in the movie, I was really clinging on to the element of almost like Stand By Me. We need to play off this platonic love, but it was very deep love, especially between McVries and Ray, these two boys that find, you know, in my mind, they almost fall in love with each other by the end of the story. It's this very beautiful, heartfelt relationship that ultimately there can only be one winner. We're in the Stephen King universe, but playing off all these beautiful relationships where they sort of find a reason to keep walking. I wanted the viewers to feel that humanity and that rawness at times.
There's a lot of strings that we had, this, you know, sort of group of string players. I think there were maybe 30 or 40 of them. And that's kind of the majority, plus the piano work that Jeremiah has done. he's added some other sort of like electronic kind of synth layers to it that sort of blend in, and done some really quite creative things with, you know, flipping things backwards and turning things around. And so again, there is a very unique, strange quality to it, but also feels very unique and very fresh.
I'm definitely in awe of Francis. I am, I can't even lie about it. I think he's a really wonderful, acute, sensitive director.
I guess my biggest concern was the violence in the movie, and I was just curious like how he was planning on shooting it. I have a stepson who's really young. He's, you know, around the age of the boys in the movie, and it was like I just kind of kept seeing him in this. And so that was something that Francis and I talked a lot about.
The Long Walk is a pretty brutal movie, and it's not the kind of thing that is necessarily everybody's cup of tea. And so, you know, you send a script like this out to people and it could scare them. And luckily, Judy was really connected to the emotional content of it and the relationship of the boys. And she was really moved by it and really moved by her part of the story and the connection with her son, played by Cooper. All the guys in the movie loved working with her too, especially Cooper.
I have a lot of love for the boys that I've been able to work with on this, which meaning like, you know, the kind of 8 main characters, and Judy is like unbelievable. Like I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed with Judy Greer. I think that she's so awesome and just like brings such a light to the set. Because we can so much as, you know, actors get so caught up in the darkness and and we all want to be kind of like brooding and sulking and this and that, and Judy just comes on, and I mean that in the most like love-felt way of she takes me out of myself, and it was so needed, and I think she took all of us out of ourselves.
It's a really dark, heavy movie, so it's really nice when we are doing these scenes and they're really heavy, that there's like some levity between takes and stuff, and he and I have been laughing a lot and having a lot of fun.
My approach to the movie really starts with the novel, right? That the novel is unflinching in the way it portrays violence, and that impact is very important to, you know, the Stephen King stories. That intensity is really important to his stories, to this story in particular, and I was not going to shy away from it.
This is a Stephen King novel. I think Stephen King is in the same way that Raymond Carver is to like the American short story, or, you know, Tennessee Williams to the American play. Stephen King is that to like a horror genre and ness of America, which I love.
I'm just so excited that Francis is adapting it, and I hope we can, you know, honor the source material and honor the films that have come before this in that sense. And it reminds me so much of those characters in Stand By Me.
I watched Stand By Me before doing this, and it felt so, there was stuff that I felt was similar. They're younger, so that plays a part of it, but there's a love, there's a male friendship love that I find to be so nice to watch, and I wanted to do that with this for sure.
It was very exciting to get a call on my phone from Maine, and it was Stephen King, and we had a really, really nice chat that I will remember forever.
I mean, I think there's a story for everyone here, and I think there's a reason why it's being made now as opposed to decades ago.
I've never done a movie like this. I've never really explored the feelings that I've had that I think Ray's having. And I think for a long time I was always really scared about it. And I think that what this movie means a lot to me. I hope it shows. It's a moment in my life that I don't think I'll ever forget. That's all you can kind of ask in this life, is that you end something and you feel like you've left it all out on the field.